Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm GoeFPV, and in today's episode we are going to replace the iFlight BLITZ Mini flight controller based on S7 chip with an iFlight BLITZ Mini flight controller with an Artery chip on it. The reason why I'm replacing this flight controller is because I crashed my drone into the water and I was looking in the market for some replacements, and I was really pissed off because this BLITZ Mini F7 flight controller price was like $70 something, and it was really expensive, and on this drone it is the second flight controller that I'm destroying. So I was looking for some cheaper options, and this new flight controller based on the Artery chip is very cheap compared to the other one. This one is $30 something and the other one is $70, so almost, or it is actually half the price. But the question is, why this microcontroller or the flight controller based on the Artery chip is so cheap? So first, let's make it clear for everyone that might be new in this field. All the flight controllers are based on a microprocessor that is built on an ARM architecture. Until 1 year ago, mostly all the flight controllers were based on STM chips. The good news is that now we have a new chip provider, Artery, which is also based on the ARM architecture, and this is a great news because we have some competition in the market, making the prices to vary a little bit. It is great news to see that we have some kind of competition on the market, and this is clearly visible if we compare the prices between the STM-based flight controllers and the Artery-based flight controllers. For example, if we are looking on the chart, let's compare the STM32-F722 to the new AT32-F435. If we look on the chart, we see that this new Artery microprocessor has a little higher clock frequency, and looking at the peripherals are not so big changes. And if you look down here, you will see that the big difference is related to the price. The Artery microprocessor is around $2 and the STM32 processor is around $12, which makes a big difference when coming to choosing the right flight controller that you're going to use on the drone. Now the only question is if this Artery flight controller is compatible with Betaflight and if it is a reliable flight controller. But more about these two subjects after we finish the installation. I will also provide you all the links for the parts and tools that I'm using for this installation in the video's description. As you already seen, the iFlight flight controller provides a lot of connectors for an easy connection of the peripherals, so I choose to make use of them. So in this build we are not going to have much soldering involved. I mean, maybe no soldering at all, because all the peripherals that I have here, GPS receiver, the video transmitter, the ESC, everything is wired up using a connector, so there will not be soldering involved at all actually. I'm going to first spray some layers of this conformal coating onto the flight controller, so let's do this and then we will continue the installation. This is the flight controller without conformal coating, and now with the conformal coating on it. Now that we have the conformal coating on the flight controller, we can start assembling it in the drone. And let's see first what we have here. So I will need first to remove these side skirts from this drone, and for that I need to remove the camera assembly from the front. Right, I will use my tiny screwdriver and let's remove these two screws here. So now that I have this removed, I am able to remove these side covers. And let's do this. Alright, and this as well. Alright, so we have the LED board, the ESC, this is the O3 air unit connector, the receiver, and the GPS. So first let's remove these 4 hex nuts. I remove them and let's check if we have all the garments in place. Yeah, we have the spacers here. The only thing I have to do now is to insert the garments into this flight controller, and this should be provided inside the box that the flight controllers came with. Also, this box, very nice, from iFlight. They are providing all the flight controllers and the ESCs with a lot of wires for connecting your peripherals. These are all connector wires, and this is very useful when you're building a drone from scratch. These are the same wires that I have used to build this drone. Okay, now we have this little bag, and here inside we have the garments that I'm going to use for the flight controllers. I need 4 of these. These are easily inserted inside here on each corner. Perfect. So the garments are in place. Now I will just pre-install these hex nuts to make sure this flight controller doesn't go anywhere. 2 hex nuts, 3, and the last one. It was that easy because everything was connected before using a connector, and I have not soldered anything. But this is convenient, as you see, when you have to replace something in the drone. But I think the security of a solder joint will be never beaten by a connector. Now let's install the side skirts. Everything is in place. Let me just place everything here nicely. Okay, great. So we have the cover in place. Okay, let's screw this camera assembly. Does it look like I know what I'm doing, isn't it? I hope so, to be honest. I'm not going to tighten everything down for now. I really want to connect this flight controller to the laptop and see if everything powers on correctly and we don't have any issues. I will not check now if we have a short circuit on the battery plug or in the electronics itself, because this was already being tested. The only problem was the flight controller that has had a faulty 5-volt regulator, so I decided to just replace it. Although for you, if you have the same issue, also Joshua Bardwell showed that we can externally supply power to the flight controller using some 5 volts pads on the flight controller, but because there are different systems in the flight controller, some are using 9 volts, others 3.3, others 5 volts, I just decided that I don't want to risk it, and I bought this new flight controller together with the Artery chip, and it's a great thing that we are together here installing this new flight controller, and you have the chance to see how it works. So now let's take the laptop back and let's see how it goes. And now let's just connect the USB connector. Let's see what happens. I heard the USB connected sound on the laptop. The LEDs are on, so everything looks just fine. The interesting thing about the last flight controller that I replaced is that it was getting powered on with the USB, so everything was working correctly, but there was no power provided when I have connected the battery. So this is because the regulator was bricked. So first I want to make sure that I have the Betaflight that is compatible with this flight controller. And this is another story that I promised you that we are going to discuss after the installation, and until we are extracting this new Betaflight release candidate, I will explain you what happens. So these new artery chips were introduced in the FPV world almost a year ago, at the beginning of 2023, and the problem was that the Betaflight was not directly compatible with these chips. So the developers, thank you to them, have branched the official release, and they have created a custom version of Betaflight that was compatible with these chips. Now, together with Betaflight 4.5 release, we are able to also configure and flash this version of the firmware on these artery chips. And that's the official release of Betaflight that provides support for this kind of processors. So this is why I'm now extracting the Betaflight configurator. I have checked their GitHub repository, and looks like this release candidate, Betaflight configurator 10.10 release candidate 4. This is the one that was stated in the release notes, that's compatible and supports AT32 DFU. So the thing is that we don't know currently if we have the Betaflight firmware already flashed on the flight controller, and most probably we don't. So we will need to flash that firmware, and that's another thing that's different from the past flight controllers with STM microprocessors. If you are already in this field, you know that for those flight controllers with STM32 chips, there is a driver fix tool that was provided by Immersion RC, and that driver fix tool doesn't work anymore for this AT32 chip. So for the driver itself to work, we need to get directly on the Artery website and download the drivers from their support page. Okay, so let's see. Connecting. Great, so looks like we have Betaflight 4.5 already installed on this iFlight BLITZ Mini flight controller. I'm really surprised because I didn't expect this, but maybe because I recently bought it and this version of the Betaflight was already released, they took the chance to pre-flash them from the factory. So we don't need to flash the firmware, but I will show you what you have to do in order to do the flashing. So let's press update firmware. As you see now, we have the AT32 virtual COM port, and if I hit connect, no, this goes back to the configurator, update firmware, I see AT32 virtual port. Let's disconnect the flight controller, connect it again and see what's happening. The same AT32 virtual COM. So I have downloaded from Artery the Artery ISP programmer. I'm going to extract all. Waiting. Alright. Chip is not getting hot or something. Alright, so we have here the ISP programmer. We don't need that because we are not manually programming it. The DFU driver installation. Let's open this folder and install the driver. AT32 bootloader DFU. What other options we have? Nothing else. Extract driver, install driver. Let's install it directly and see what's happening. The driver was installed successfully. Please restart the computer. Jesus, man, we have to restart the computer for this. Alright, so let's restart the computer. Okay guys, so I am back. I have restarted the PC. Let's start the Betaflight configurator and see how things are looking now. So we have the COM3 AT32 virtual COM port, update firmware. Let's disconnect and connect. Yes, so I think I have to get into the bootloader to make it work. Let's press this button. I don't know if I think I have to keep it pressed while connecting it to the USB to get in the bootloader. Let's try that. Pressed. Yes, exactly. So you have to keep the button on the flight controller pressed down and at the same time connect the Type-C connector, and now the flight controller is in DFU, so you are able to flash it. But I'm not going to flash it right now because we have already installed the Betaflight 4.5 and we are good to go. Next thing we have to do is to configure the ports and everything on the drone. So I will exit DFU mode for now. The flight controller is reset and it powers on in the application now. So let's connect to the flight controller and start by configuring the ports. So for the ports configuration, we have to check the manual of this flight controller, and I think I have it here. The BLITZ Mini AT435, this one, let's check it out. They should provide here the settings for Betaflight. Good. I will save and reboot, and if everything is correct, then the settings will be stored. Yes, so we see that everything is stored here. Looks like we are all set. Now, first in the configuration, I will check the PID loop frequency, so the maximum is 3.2 kHz. Barometer, we don't have a magnetometer here. The FPV camera angle, I don't honestly know what this is doing, but I set it usually at 30. Arming angle, so this I will set to 180 degrees because I want to be able to arm the drone in whatever position it ends. You never know. Otherwise, if it's upside down and you disarm it, you will not be able to arm it back. Right, I save it. Okay, and I also need to configure the GPS here, as I know. GPS in-flight LED strip, multicolor RGB, yes, we have that. Channel forwarding, no. In-flight level calibration, no. Servo till, no. Soft serial, no. Sonar, no. Transponder, no. GPS, we have GPS, of course. Where are the GPS settings? I think in the GPS section, isn't it? Yes. New blocks, use Galileo, set home point once. When enabled, only first arm after battery is connected will be used as home point. If not enabled, every time the quad is armed, the home point will be updated. So I don't want that to be updating the home point every time I'm arming, because I might arm in another place. So I will set that only once. And ground assistance type, I will set to auto detect. Okay, this is good. I will save and reboot. I think the GPS only works if I connect the battery, so I'm not doing that now. What I want to see is the receiver tab, and I want to see all the channels if they are being received. Let me take the transmitter. This is the transmitter. It's a TBS Tango 2, and I really hope that I already have this drone binded, and I should have it. Model match 0, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yes, so I'm already binded to this drone. So now in Betaflight, we should see the We should, but we are not. This is why, because serial receiver provider, what do we have here? We have crossfire to be set and serial via UART. That's correct. That's the reason we didn't see anything. I will save and reboot. Receiver, and now we should see. Yes, everything works correctly. The drone responds exactly how I want. Good, so now that we have all the channels set here, I think the next thing we have to do is to configure the modes, and this is easy. I have the arm. I will assign arm to AUX1. Now I'm in this arm, so arm will be here, this side. Angle mode, I will set it here. Angle mode is down on auxiliary 3 channel. Then horizon mode is in the middle, and the acro mode will be in the rest of the range when nothing is selected. Good. Another thing that I want to add is failsafe. This is a failsafe triggered manually. This part, GPS rescue down, and that's it. The beeper, I want it to be on this button here. Yeah, for now this is what I want to configure to be able to fly. Right, I saved it, and now let's see. Arming is disabled because I don't have a battery connected. Good, we're safe now. Alright, so now everything is set up. Let's disconnect first from here. I will disconnect the flight controller. Alright, for now this is enough. And let's get back to the drone. Let me connect the battery. I want to see this working with the battery connected. Everything looks fine. No smoke, and that's a good news every time. Because the electronic components work with smoke, and if the smoke gets out, then they are not working anymore. Everybody knows that, isn't it? Good. So it looks like it works, at least it sounds good. I will not take it to a test flight here in the shop, so I just have to tighten down the stack X nuts and then put the top plate on this drone. So let's tighten this down one by one. Easy. I really recommend you using a screwdriver, because otherwise, I have done before with some other tools. I don't know how that tool is called, to be honest. But if you're using an inappropriate tool, then your tool can slide and bump a component from the PCB, and these components, being so small, will be very easily removed from it. And you don't want to do that. Otherwise, you will not have great times with it. Alright, this looks promising. Everything looks nice and well placed. Let me clean a little bit this cover with my fingers. It was covered in conformal coating. And now, before putting the top plate on this drone, I have to make sure I place the battery straps. Let it rain with battery straps. I'm just joking, I don't have good battery straps. These are battery straps from iFlight. Not saying that these are not good, it never broke on me, but I don't know if I have the right dimension. Alright, so I have two small battery straps. I have to consider that here I will have the battery like this. I will hold this equalizing connector like this, and let's see if this would work here. Just actually not, this is too small. But what about here? Too small as well. So we don't have any other choice other than using these two big straps. This is the only choice I have right now. So I will place this here like this, and this one like this. No, this is a small one again. This one like this, and now let's put the top cover on top of it. Perfect. Let's screw it down. Okay, so this looks very nice. I tightened it down. The screws on the bottom plate are well tightened. I will just check them. Yeah, everything is checked. I think I checked them when I tried to replace the ESC only. Alright. One more quick tip: if you are waterproofing your O3, just put some tape here on the SD card slot, because the SD can be conformal coated, so you just avoid getting some water inside it directly without, if you put the tape here. And also the USB also is another component that is not waterproofed. It's better to protect it by something. If you don't have a cover like this, then you can put some tape here as well, like I have placed on the SD card slot. And the rest has to be taken apart and conformal coated. So this is the drone. I can't wait to test it. This flies very well. I recorded some great videos with it before I crashed it into the water, into a rice field, and it's a great drone for cinematic flying. I can't wait to have some fun with it. I will keep you updated. You can follow me on Instagram. I also post there some great videos with places where I'm flying, and leave me a comment if you like the content that I'm creating right there. And stay tuned, you will see soon a video with this drone. And yeah, I really hope you like this video. Don't forget, I have put the links in the descriptions with all the tools and parts that I used here in these installations. Also with this drone. If you are interested in buying a similar drone, check that link in the bottom. And I hope you will enjoy it. I really recommend it, and I recommend you to use the iFlight stack on this particular iFlight frame, because it's built to fit that stack perfectly. If you try to fit any other stack, you will get into troubles. I tried that at the beginning and it was not a good idea. I did it because I was ambitious. I wanted to do something fully custom and on my own choice, but it ended up not being such a great idea. So this is why the first flight controller I burned it, the second one I crashed it into water, and this one hopefully will be the lucky one. But with each of them I have gained so much experience, so I don't want to complain. I'm just thankful that I'm here with you, and I hope you enjoyed it and find this video useful and will help you make the right decision when you're looking for your next flight controller. Thank you very much. Please like this video. This is very important for me. It helps me a lot in getting more reach of this video. I'm at the beginning and this is very important for me now. And see you next time. Bye guys.